You, the black girl, run down to the deli and grab sandwiches for the team, turkey on rye for me, and don't forget the receipt. Meridian Tower construction site, downtown Atlanta. 9:47 a.m. Victoria Pemberton, senior partner at Hollings and Crane Architects, doesn't even look up from her blueprints. In her mind, black skin and lead architect don't match. The woman standing across from her in the steel-toed boots and tailored navy blazer must be an intern, an assistant, somebody's secretary. Definitely not the person she's been waiting 3 weeks to meet. Victoria flicks her wrist toward the door. Today would be nice, sweetheart. 8 white executives around the conference table glance up. Nobody corrects her. Nobody says a word. A man in a gray suit smirks into his coffee. The door behind Victoria opens. Marcus Hollings himself, founding partner, walks in. 72 years old. The man whose name is on the building. He sees the woman in the navy blazer and stops cold. His face drains of color. His briefcase slips an inch in his hand before he catches it. Ms. Whitfield, ma'am, please forgive us. Everything freezes. Marcus Hollings just called the sandwich girl ma'am. Why? Who is Amara Whitfield? Stay. Because that one word just ended Victoria Pemberton's 30-year career. In the next 60 minutes, 8 witnesses will watch her realize she just sent the lead designer of a $500 million project on a deli run, and they'll watch the moment ma'am came 60 minutes too late. This is real. This starts now. 5:42 a.m. Amara Whitfield's alarm goes off. She's already awake. Has been for an hour. Today is the day she's waited 14 years for. Her son Elijah, 7 years old, is asleep in the next room, his stuffed elephant tucked under his arm. She slips into the kitchen, pours coffee, dark, no sugar, and looks at the folder on the counter. Hollings and Crane Architects. Meridian Tower Project. Lead designer. Amara Whitfield, AIA, NCARB, lead platinum. 14 years ago, she was a first-year student at Howard University, sketching skylines on the back of napkins. 12 years ago, she was the only black woman in her graduate program at Cornell. 9 years ago, she watched her thesis project, a community-centered mixed-use development for Southside Chicago, get passed over for a white classmate's strip mall design. 6 years ago, she opened her own firm out of a converted garage in East Atlanta with $3,000 in savings and a borrowed drafting table. Today, Whitfield Design Studio employs 41 people across 2 cities. Today, she's the lead architect on the largest commercial development in Atlanta's history. Today, she's walking into Hollings and Crane for the official kickoff meeting, the moment 3 years of competitive bidding and 27 design revisions finally pay off. She didn't have to be there in person. She could have joined by video, could have sent her project manager. But there's something about walking into the room where the work happens, placing your portfolio on the table, being seen by the people who will be building what you designed. Her grandmother taught her that. Ruth Whitfield, who cleaned houses in Buckhead for 41 years. Ruth, who died when Amara was 15, left her one piece of advice and a small silver pen. Walk in like the room was built for you, because one day it will be. Amara carries that pen now. Tucked into the breast pocket of a navy blazer she had tailored last week for exactly this meeting. Inside her leather portfolio, the master site plan, structural renderings, sustainability certifications, and the signed contract that names her as principal architect of record on the Meridian Tower. $500 million, 42 stories, 2 years of construction. She shouldn't need to prove anything beyond that contract, but she's heard the stories. Black woman, large project, wrong assumptions. She's heard them from mentors, colleagues, the few other black women architects she's met at industry events. She's always thought, not me. My credentials are airtight. My reputation is solid. Still, she brings the documentation, all of it. The drive to the construction site takes 23 minutes. She parks in the visitor lot at 9:31 a.m. The site is a controlled storm of activity. Cranes overhead, foundation crews working the east lot, the temporary site office, a modular 3-story structure perched at the edge of the property. She's been on 100 sites like this. Never one this big. Never one with her name on the drawings. Inside the building, fluorescent lights, the smell of fresh paint and burnt coffee. A receptionist points her toward the second-floor conference room. Hollings and Crane executive team is already assembled. The first formal meeting between client architects and the prime contractor's senior leadership. Amara walks in at 9:46 a.m., briefcase in hand, portfolio under her arm, 14 years of work in her posture. The 8 people at the table look up. Then they look back down. Victoria Pemberton, senior partner, doesn't even register her face. She just sees a young black woman in a blazer and decides exactly what she is. The words hit Amara like a slap, not because they're unexpected. She's heard variations of this her entire career. Site superintendents asking where the real architect is. City inspectors waiting for her white project manager to arrive. Vendors emailing her assistant instead of her. But she has never, not once in 14 years, been spoken to like this in a room where her own contract sits on the table. She doesn't move, doesn't react. Just stands there with her portfolio under her arm, watching Victoria Pemberton stare down at the blueprints like the conversation is already over. "Hello?" Victoria looks up now, irritation pinching her face. Mid-50s, blonde bob cut sharp at the jaw, pearl earrings, the kind of woman who has spent 30 years being the most important person in every room she enters. "Sweetheart, I'm not asking twice. The catering company canceled. We have a working lunch at noon. Move." Amara takes one slow breath. Her grandmother's pen presses against her chest through the fabric of her blazer. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." Victoria's head tilts. The other 7 people at the table go still in that particular way people go still when they sense something is about to shift, but they don't yet know which direction. A man at the far end, gray suit, late 40s, the one who smirked into his coffee, sets his mug down very carefully. "I'm sorry, what?" Victoria says, "I said there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not here to get sandwiches." Victoria's smile is the kind of smile that has dismissed 100 people before lunch. "Sweetheart, I don't know who let you in here, but this is a private meeting. If you're looking for the temp agency check-in, that's downstairs. Linda at the front desk can help you. Now please, the sandwiches." Amara walks toward the table. Slow, measured, she doesn't sit, doesn't put down her portfolio. She places one hand on the back of the empty chair at the head of the conference table, the chair with the small placard that reads lead designer. "My name is Amara Whitfield. I'm the principal architect on the Meridian Tower. This is my chair." The silence that follows is the kind of silence you can hear breathing in. 8 pairs of eyes. The man in the gray suit picks up his coffee mug again just to have something to do with his hands. A woman to Victoria's left, mid-30s, junior associate by the look of her, glances at her laptop screen, then quickly away. Victoria laughs, actually laughs, a short, sharp, disbelieving sound. "I'm sorry," she says, and she's not sorry. "I've been working on the Meridian Tower for 3 years. I know every name on this project. The lead architect is A. Whitfield from Whitfield Design Studio. I've reviewed his portfolio twice. There must be some confusion." His portfolio. Amara doesn't flinch. She has heard this too. Clients assuming her partner is the one in charge. Trade reps asking to speak with the owner when she is the owner. She lets the moment sit. Lets Victoria hear what she just said. "A. Whitfield is Amara Whitfield," Amara says quietly. "That's me. And I believe you've been emailing my assistant Devon for the past 6 months, not the other way around." Victoria's smile doesn't fall. It just freezes slowly, the way ice freezes a pond, edge first. Her eyes flick to the man in the gray suit. He stares at the table. Her eyes flick to the junior associate. The junior associate finds something fascinating on her laptop screen. Nobody confirms what Amara just said. Nobody contradicts it either. "That's not possible," Victoria says, but her voice has lost something. A note, a certainty. Amara sets her portfolio down on the table, opens it. Slides a single document across the polished wood. The cover page of the executed contract. Hollings and Crane Architects as construction administrator. Whitfield Design Studio as architect of record. Amara Whitfield, principal, signed February 11th, notarized, stamped. Victoria looks at the page, doesn't touch it, looks at Amara. "Anyone can print a contract," Victoria says. The man in the gray suit makes a soft sound, not a cough, not quite a word, something pained. Amara reaches into her portfolio again, slides over her AIA license, her NCARB certification, her business card, her firm's COI, a printout of her LinkedIn profile with the Hollings and Crane email thread highlighted, her name in the signature block, Devon's name nowhere on it. Victoria glances down, glances back up. Her face has gone a particular shade of red that starts at the collarbone and climbs. "Why don't you have a seat, sweetheart?" Victoria says, "and let the adults sort this out. I'll call the developer. There's clearly been a mix-up." Amara doesn't sit. She picks up her phone instead, places it on the table, screen down. The recording light is already on. "Call whoever you'd like," Amara says, "but I'd suggest you call Marcus Hollings first. He's the one who signed your firm onto my project." The name lands like a stone dropped into still water. Marcus Hollings, founding partner, 72 years old. The man whose face hangs in oil portraits on 3 different floors of the Hollings and Crane downtown office. The man Victoria Pemberton has been trying to impress for 22 years. Victoria's jaw tightens. "Mr. Hollings doesn't involve himself in day-to-day project management. He approves contracts. He doesn't vet vendors. I'm not a vendor. You are whatever I say you are until I verify otherwise." The man in the gray suit clears his throat. "Victoria," she doesn't look at him. Stay out of this, Daniel. Daniel Crane, junior partner, nephew of the late Harold Crane, the other name on the building, 46 years old. He has been at the table for 6 minutes longer than Amara has, and in that 6 minutes he has not said one word. But now he leans forward slightly, his hands flat on the table. Victoria, I think we should. I said stay out of it. Amara watches the exchange, files it away. She has been in enough boardrooms to know what she is looking at. A senior partner who is used to being unchallenged. A junior partner who knows something the senior partner does not. 6 other people who have all just decided that the safest place to be in this moment is invisible. Amara reaches into her blazer pocket. Takes out her phone, places it on the table. Screen down, Victoria's eyes flick to it. What are you doing? Documenting. Georgia is a one-party consent state. I'm the party, I consent. You can't record in here without, I just did. Victoria stands up. Her chair scrapes back. The sound is loud in the silent room. She walks around the table toward Amara, and for one strange second, Amara wonders if this woman is actually going to put a hand on her. Then Victoria stops 3 feet away, arms crossed, the body language of a woman who has decided to make this physical without actually making it physical. I don't know what you think you're doing, Victoria says, her voice low now, dropped into a register that the others can still hear but is meant to feel private. But I have been in this industry for 30 years. I know what an architect looks like. I know what a principal looks like. And I am telling you, sweetheart, that whatever scheme this is, whatever you think you're going to get out of walking in here and making a scene, it ends right now. You can leave on your own, or I can have site security walk you out. Amara doesn't move, doesn't blink. You said you've been working on the Meridian Tower for 3 years, Amara says. Tell me about the south facade, the shading system. What's the panel rotation interval? Victoria stares. It's a public detail, Amara continues. It was in the renderings released last September. Any senior partner working the project for 3 years would know. Victoria's mouth opens, closes. 47 degrees, Amara says quietly. Adjustable in 12-degree increments, designed to reduce HVAC load by 31%. I designed it. I presented it to your firm in October of 2022. You were not in that meeting, Victoria. Because you were not on this project until 6 months ago when you replaced Corinne Morales after she went on medical leave. The junior associate at the laptop looks up now, really looks up. There is something in her face that wasn't there a minute ago. Recognition, maybe relief. Victoria's red has climbed to her ears. I am not going to be lectured by a... She stops herself. The word she didn't say sits in the air like smoke. Everyone heard it. Everyone heard the shape of it. Even the silence has shape now. Daniel Crane stands up. Victoria, step into the hallway with me, please. I'm in the middle of now. Daniel's voice is not loud. It is exactly the opposite of loud. It is the voice of a man who has just realized the building is on fire and is choosing not to scream because screaming will not help. Victoria looks at him. Whatever she sees in his face stops her cold. She turns back to Amara. Don't go anywhere. We are not finished. I never plan to leave, Amara says. Victoria and Daniel walk out into the hallway. The door closes behind them. The conference room is suddenly very, very quiet. 6 people. Amara at the head of the table, still standing. The junior associate, who finally meets her eyes and gives her the smallest possible nod. A man across the table who is now staring at his hands like they belong to someone else. 2 project engineers who look like they want the floor to open up. A woman at the far end who whispers almost to herself, "Oh my God!" The door reopens, but it is not Victoria. Marcus Hollings walks in at 9:58 a.m., 72 years old, 6'2", white hair combed straight back. A charcoal suit that fits him the way good suits fit men who have been wearing good suits for 50 years. He is alone. He carries a leather portfolio under one arm and a small velvet box in the opposite hand. He sees Amara first. His entire face changes. It is not the change of a man surprised to see someone unexpected. It is the change of a man who is genuinely, profoundly pleased to see exactly who he expected. His shoulders drop half an inch. The corners of his mouth lift. He starts toward her. Ms. Whitfield. He says it the way you say the name of a friend you have been looking forward to. Then his eyes catch the room. The frozen postures, the silence. The portfolio open on the table, the phone screen down beside it. The empty chair behind Victoria, the space in the air where something just happened. He stops 3 steps in. The pleasure drains out of his face in real time. It is replaced by something Amara has not seen from a white man in a position of power in a long time, maybe ever. It is dread. Ms. Whitfield, he says again, but the music of it is gone. What happened in this room before I walked in? Amara doesn't answer. She doesn't have to. Daniel Crane has stepped back through the door behind Marcus, and Victoria is right behind him, and Victoria's face is the face of a woman who does not yet understand what is about to happen to her. Marcus, Victoria says, brightening, sliding into her conference room voice. Thank God you're here. There's been a tremendous mix-up. This woman walked in claiming to be the lead architect, and Marcus raises one hand, not high, just to chest level, the smallest possible signal. Victoria stops mid-sentence. Victoria, please be quiet. Victoria blinks. I'm sorry. I said please be quiet. He turns back to Amara, walks the rest of the way to her, stops at a respectful distance, sets his portfolio down on the table beside hers. Then he does something that the 8 people in this room will talk about for the rest of their careers. He places the small velvet box in front of her. This was supposed to be a welcome gift, he says quietly. From the firm, from me personally. I was running 10 minutes late because the engraver finished it this morning and I wanted to pick it up myself. Amara looks at the box, doesn't open it. Marcus turns to face the room. His voice is still soft, but it is the kind of soft that carries. The kind of soft that means the room is going to listen because anything louder would be unnecessary. For those of you who have not had the privilege of meeting her in person until today, he says, this is Amara Whitfield, principal architect of Whitfield Design Studio, lead designer of the Meridian Tower. The reason we won the construction administration contract on the largest commercial development in this city's history. I personally pursued her firm for 9 months before she agreed to consider us. She had 3 other offers. She chose us because she liked our preservation work in the old 4th Ward and because she believed our project management culture was, and I quote her, aligned with respect for collaborators. He pauses. He does not look at Victoria. He looks at the floor for one full breath. When he looks up, his eyes are wet and his jaw is doing the thing old men's jaws do when they are working very hard to keep their voice level. Ms. Whitfield, ma'am, please forgive us. The word ma'am detonates. Victoria's face goes from red to white in about 2 seconds. Her mouth opens. She closes it. She opens it again. The man in the gray suit, Daniel, has both hands over his face. The junior associate is openly crying, silent tears running down her cheeks, hands flat on her laptop like she is bracing against a wave. The woman at the far end of the table whispers, "Oh my God," for the 2nd time in 5 minutes. Marcus turns to Victoria. What did you say to her before I walked in? Victoria's mouth works. No sound comes out. Victoria, I will ask one time, what did you say? Marcus, there was a misunderstanding. She came in without identification and, what did you say to her, Victoria? Silence. Amara reaches over, turns her phone face up, taps the screen once. The recording stops. She does not press play. She does not need to. She looks at Marcus. She asked me to fetch sandwiches, Amara says. Turkey on rye. She told me not to forget the receipt. When I tried to clarify who I was, she told me she'd been working on the Meridian Tower for 3 years, that she knew every name, and that the lead architect was a man. When I produced the contract, she said anyone can print a contract. When I produced my license and my certifications, she suggested I sit down and let the adults sort this out. When I asked her about the south facade shading system, she could not answer. Then she nearly called me a word she did not finish saying. There are 6 witnesses in this room besides her and besides me. Marcus closes his eyes. He stands there with his eyes closed for what feels like a very long time. When he opens them, he is no longer looking at Victoria like a colleague. He is looking at her like a problem. Daniel, Marcus says without taking his eyes off Victoria. Please escort Ms. Pemberton to my office on the 7th floor. Do not let her speak to anyone on the way. Do not let her access her email. Take her badge before you leave this room. Daniel nods once. He is already moving. Victoria finds her voice. Marcus, wait, you can't possibly. I have 30 years with this firm, 30 years. You are not going to humiliate me in front of... You did that yourself. Marcus's voice does not rise. It just lands. 40 minutes ago in this room in front of 7 people, including a junior associate who is now crying because she watched it happen and was too afraid of you to speak up. You humiliated yourself, Victoria. I'm simply ensuring you do not have the opportunity to humiliate this firm further before we sort out what comes next. You're firing me. I am not firing you. I am not authorized to fire a senior partner without a board vote. I am suspending you pending investigation. Daniel, her badge. Daniel holds out his hand. Victoria stares at it like it is an animal she has never seen before. Then slowly she reaches up and unclips the lanyard from her blazer collar. Her hand is shaking. She places the badge in Daniel's palm. This is going to look very different in 2 days, she says, when everyone calms down. 2 days from now, Marcus says, you are going to be the subject of a Georgia Bar Association complaint, an AIA professional conduct review, and a civil rights inquiry. The only thing that will look different is the size of the legal team representing you. Please leave this room. Victoria leaves. Daniel walks her out. The door closes for the 2nd time. The silence is different now. It is no longer the silence of waiting. It is the silence of aftermath. Marcus turns back to Amara. He does not sit, neither does she. Ms. Whitfield, I do not know what to say to you. I am going to say things anyway because saying nothing would be worse. I am sorry. I am ashamed. I have spent 50 years of my life building this firm, and most of those years believing we were better than this. We were not. We were better than some. We were better than the worst of our industry. That is not the same as being good, and it is certainly not what I promised you when I asked for your business. Amara watches him. She has not moved from her place at the head of the table. Her grandmother's pen presses against her chest. I appreciate your apology, she says. I want to be clear about something before I respond to it. Please. You apologized the moment you walked in, before you even knew what had happened. You said, please forgive us. I want to know why. Marcus's brow furrows. Because I could see your face. Because I could read the room. Because I have been in enough rooms in my life to know what a black woman looks like when she has just been treated badly and is choosing not to give the people who treated her that way the satisfaction of a reaction. And in those rooms, over the past 50 years, when you saw that look on someone's face, what did you usually do? He is quiet for a long time, long enough that the woman at the far end of the table shifts in her seat, long enough that the junior associate stops crying and starts listening. Usually, Marcus says finally, I told myself it wasn't my business, or I told the person privately later that I was sorry. Or I said nothing at all and went home and told my wife about it over dinner and felt bad for a day and then went to work and did nothing. Amara nods once. Thank you for being honest. You should know, he says, that the velvet box on the table contains a pen, engraved with your name and the project name. It was meant to be a welcome. I had it commissioned 3 weeks ago. I cannot now give it to you in the way I intended, so I will leave it on the table, and if you want it, it is yours. If you do not want it, I understand, and I will not be offended. Amara looks down at the velvet box, reaches out, opens it. The pen inside is silver, slim. Engraved along the barrel, Amara Whitfield, Principal Architect, Meridian Tower, 2026. Below her name in smaller script, welcome. Build something that lasts. She thinks of her grandmother. Of Ruth Whitfield, who walked into rooms cleaning them for 41 years and who told her, walk in like the room was built for you. She takes the silver pen out of the box. Slides it into the breast pocket of her blazer right next to the one her grandmother left her. 2 pens now, the one she earned and the one she inherited. I'll keep it, she says. But Mr. Hollings, we need to talk privately after this meeting, because what happens next is not going to be what your PR team would prefer. Marcus nods. I expected nothing less. Tell me what you need. What I need, Amara says, is for this meeting to continue, right now, today, as planned. Marcus raises an eyebrow. You want to continue the meeting? I came here to do a job. The Meridian Tower does not stop because Victoria Pemberton needed to learn what a senior architect looks like. We have a noon working session. There are 41 people on my staff and 112 people on your construction team who are waiting on decisions that come out of this room today. Sit down, Mr. Hollings. Marcus sits. So does Amara. For the first time since she walked into the building, she takes the chair at the head of the conference table. The one with the placard that reads lead designer. The 6 remaining executives look at her. They look at her the way they should have looked at her 90 minutes ago, like she is the person running the room. Because she is. My name is Amara Whitfield, she says again, and I am going to assume that the rest of you knew that already and chose not to say anything when your senior partner was telling me to fetch sandwiches. I am going to set that aside for now because we have work to do. But I want you to understand that I have not forgotten it, and after this project closes, I will be deciding which of you I am willing to work with on future contracts. Nod if you understand me. 6 heads nod, quickly. Good. Open your binders to page 14. We are going to talk about the curtain wall sequencing. For the next 93 minutes, Amara Whitfield runs the meeting the way she planned to run it before Victoria Pemberton opened her mouth. She walks them through the south facade. She catches an error in the structural drawings that 2 senior engineers have missed for 6 weeks. She approves a substitution for a German glazing supplier that will save the project $400,000. The junior associate, whose name turns out to be Hannah, takes notes so detailed and so accurate that Amara stops mid-sentence at one point and says, Hannah, you're good. I'm going to remember that. Hannah's face turns red, and she does not look up from her laptop, but she nods, and her hands keep moving. At 11:43 a.m., Amara closes her portfolio. That's everything for today. I'll send revised drawings by Friday. Daniel, walk with me. Marcus, I'll see you in your office in 10 minutes. She stands. The room stands with her. Nobody sits back down until she is out the door. In the hallway, Daniel Crane keeps pace beside her, hands in his pockets, jaw tight. Ms. Whitfield, I owe you an apology, too. I should have spoken up the moment she said the word sandwich. I knew who you were. I have seen your face on the company website. I have read your bid documents. I sat at that table and I let her dig the hole because I have spent the last 12 years letting Victoria dig her own holes. That is not an excuse. That is just the truth. Amara stops walking, turns to face him. He is taller than she is, but he is not looking down at her. He is looking at his shoes. Daniel, look at me. He looks up. You let her embarrass me in front of 7 people because it was easier than embarrassing yourself by correcting her. That is not a misjudgment. That is a pattern, and patterns are not corrected by apologies in hallways. They are corrected by behavior over time. So here is what I am going to say to you. I do not need your apology. I need your record. The next time a black woman walks into a room and somebody at your table treats her the way Victoria treated me, I want to hear about how you stopped it. Not how you felt bad about it afterward. Are we clear? We are clear. Good, now where is your 7th floor? He shows her to the elevator. She rides up alone. Marcus Hollings's office takes up half the 7th floor, floor-to-ceiling windows, 2 leather chairs. A model of a building Amara recognizes immediately, the Carter Memorial Library, completed in 1994, one of the projects that first made her want to be an architect. She had a poster of it on her bedroom wall in high school. She did not know until this moment that Marcus Hollings was the one who designed it. He is standing at the window when she walks in. He turns, gestures to the chairs. Ms. Whitfield, please. She sits. He sits across from her. Between them on a low glass table is a single folder. He slides it toward her. What is this? Victoria Pemberton's personnel file, the relevant portions, 6 prior complaints over the last 11 years, 2 from women of color in subordinate roles, 1 from a Latino contractor, 3 from junior associates. Every one of them was settled internally with a confidentiality clause. Every one of them was buried by me or by people who reported to me. Amara stares at the folder. Does not open it. Why are you showing me this? Because I am going to assume your attorney is going to subpoena it anyway, and I would rather you have it from my hand than from a court order. I'm also going to assume you have an attorney. I made the call from the elevator. Marcus almost smiles. Of course you did. Her name is Renee Ackhaffer, Amara says. She practices in Atlanta. She handles employment discrimination and civil rights litigation. He has won settlements against 3 Fortune 500 companies in the last 5 years. You will be hearing from her by Monday. Marcus nods. I know Renee. She deposed me in 2019 on an unrelated matter. She is very good and she does not lose. Then we understand each other. We do. Amara picks up the folder, does not open it, just holds it in her lap. Mr. Hollings, I want to be clear about what I am and am not doing. I am not walking away from this project. The Meridian Tower is my work, and my name is on it, and I will see it through. I am not going to allow what happened in that conference room to become the headline that defines a building I have designed for 3 years. That building will define itself when it opens. But I am also not going to be quiet about what happened. And I am not going to settle this privately. Your firm is going to be publicly accountable for what your firm allowed to happen. That is non-negotiable. I assumed as much. I want 6 things. He picks up a pen, the same kind of pen she notices that he had engraved for her. I am listening. 1. Victoria Pemberton is terminated, not suspended, terminated by end of business today with cause documented, no quiet exit, no severance package that buys her silence. If you want to make this go away faster, that is the first move. Done. I will call the board chair within the hour. 2. The 6 prior complaints in that folder, the people who filed them, I want them contacted, by you personally, with an apology and an offer to reopen their cases, not because I asked you to, because it is what you should have done in the first place. If they want to be part of any subsequent legal action, they will be supported by your firm, not opposed by it. Marcus writes. Done. 3. A third-party audit of Hollings and Crane's hearing, promotion, and complaint handling practices for the past 10 years. Conducted by a firm I select. Funded by you. Findings made public. No NDAs. Done. 4. A scholarship endowment at Howard University, Cornell, and Georgia Tech. $500,000 each for black women pursuing architecture degrees. Named for the 6 people in that folder with their permission. Not named for me. I am not interested in being a brand. He writes, done. 5. The Meridian Tower's official project credits will list Whitfield Design Studio as architect of record in every public-facing document, press release, signage, ribbon cutting, AIA submission, and award entry. Not Hollings and Crane and Whitfield. Whitfield as lead, Hollings and Crane as construction administrator, the way it is in the actual contract. I have noticed that the press releases your firm has issued over the past 6 months have been ambiguous on this point. That stops today. Done. I will issue a corrective release this afternoon. 6. Amara pauses. This is the one she has been thinking about since the moment she sat down. I want a public statement from you, not from your PR team, From you personally, acknowledging what happened in that conference room this morning. Acknowledging that it has happened before in your firm and you knew about it. Acknowledging that you are accountable for the culture that produced it. Issued no later than 72 hours from now. Co-reviewed by my attorney before release. Marcus sets the pen down. He looks at her for a long moment. You are asking me to publicly admit in writing that I have failed for 30 years to address discrimination in a firm that I founded. Yes. You understand what that does to my legacy. Mr. Hollings, I am sitting across from you because your senior partner just told me to fetch sandwiches. Forgive me if I am not particularly concerned about your legacy right now. He almost laughs. It is the laugh of a man who has been caught and knows it and is on some level relieved. Fair enough. He picks the pen back up. Done. All six. All six, and one more thing if you will allow me. Go ahead. When this project completes, I am going to retire. I have been thinking about it for 2 years. Today made the decision for me. When I retire, I intend to recommend to the board that the firm be renamed, not Hollings and Crane, something else. Something that does not center 2 old white men. I would like your input on that if you are willing to give it when the time comes. But I am not asking you to fix this firm. That is my work and the work of whoever comes after me. I am only asking you to know that I heard you. Amara studies him. She has spent her career learning how to read white men in power. There are the ones who perform contrition because it costs them less than honesty. There are the ones who perform fury because they believe outrage proves their innocence. And very rarely, there are the ones who simply sit with the weight of what they did not do and let the weight be heavy. Marcus Hollings is the third kind. I heard you too, she says. By 4:17 p.m., Victoria Pemberton is no longer an employee of Hollings and Crane Architects. The board votes 9-1 over a conference call. The one dissenting vote is Victoria's mentor of 26 years, an 80-year-old emeritus partner who has not been in the office in 4 years and who, according to 2 of the other board members, was probably asleep when he voted. The termination is for cause. The cause is documented. There is no severance package. There is no quiet exit. By 6:42 p.m., Renee Acaffer has filed a preservation letter with Hollings and Crane's legal department, demanding that all documents related to the 6 prior complaints, Victoria's performance reviews, and the Meridian Tower project be preserved in anticipation of potential litigation. The letter is a formality. Marcus has already instructed his general counsel to cooperate fully. By 9:18 p.m., a junior associate named Hannah Park, who watched Amara Whitfield run a 93-minute meeting after being told to fetch sandwiches, sits at her kitchen table in a 1-bedroom apartment in Decatur and writes a long, careful, single-spaced email to her best friend from college. The email is not for publication. It is just for her friend. But the friend, who happens to work in PR for a major Atlanta hospital, reads it 3 times, calls Hannah and says, "You need to give me permission to share this. Not your name, just the story. People need to hear this." Hannah says yes. By 7:00 a.m. the next morning, the story is on Twitter. Anonymous account, no names, just the moment. A friend of mine sat in a meeting yesterday where a senior partner told the lead architect of a $500 million project to go get sandwiches because she was black. The architect didn't break. She didn't yell. She produced her contract. She produced her credentials. She ran the meeting the partner was supposed to run. Then the founder walked in, recognized her, and said, "Ma'am." The senior partner was fired by end of day. I'm posting this not because the architect needs me to. She doesn't. I'm posting it because my friend, who is a junior associate, sat there and didn't say anything. Neither did the 6 other people at the table. They are not going to forget that. Neither am I be the person who speaks up at minute 1, not the person who apologizes at minute 60. The tweet hits 2,000 likes by noon, 10,000 by 3:00 p.m. By the time Amara Whitfield's plane lands in Chicago that evening, where she is scheduled to give a keynote at a Women in Architecture conference she committed to 6 months ago, the tweet has been picked up by an Atlanta Journal-Constitution reporter who is now calling Hollings and Crane's press line for comment. Amara learns about the tweet from her project manager, Devin, who texts her in the cab from the airport. "Look at Twitter. It's about you. Nobody named you." But it's about you. Amara reads the tweet, reads it again, closes her phone, sits in the back of the cab and looks at the Chicago skyline for a long time. She had been planning to keep this private until the formal statement on Friday. She had been planning to let Marcus Hollings absorb the public hit on his own timeline. She had been planning in some part of her mind to spare him. But the tweet did not come from Marcus. The tweet did not come from Hollings and Crane PR. The tweet came from a 26-year-old junior associate who watched her stay silent for 90 minutes and then could not stay silent for 90 more. That changes the timeline. Amara opens her phone, calls Renee. Renee, the story is out, earlier than we planned. Hannah Park wrote about it. Her friend posted it anonymously. It is on the AJC's radar. I was about to call you. What do? We get ahead of it. Tomorrow morning, I want you to do one interview. Not Twitter, not a podcast. A real interview on the record with a journalist you trust. You tell the story in your own words before someone else tells it for you, and then you stop talking. Let the story do its work. Who do you recommend? Imani Brooks, AJC, 12 years on the business desk. She has covered Atlanta architecture for the last 6. She is fair and she is precise, and she will not turn this into a circus. I know Imani. I have given her quotes before. Then call her tonight, set it for tomorrow morning, before 9. Amara calls Imani Brooks from the back of the cab. Imani picks up on the second ring. She has already seen the tweet. She has already guessed it might be Amara. She does not ask. She just says when and where. They meet at 7:30 a.m. the next morning in the lobby of Amara's hotel. The interview lasts 41 minutes. Amara tells the story plainly. No tears, no outrage. Just facts. The sandwich, the contract, the portfolio, the pen Marcus had engraved, the 6 complaints in the folder, the 6 things she demanded, the thing she did not ask for, which was Victoria's job. The board did that on their own. The article goes live at 11:00 a.m. By 11:47 a.m., it is the most read article on the AJC website. By 2:14 p.m., it has been picked up by the Washington Post, NPR, Architectural Record, and Bloomberg. By 6:00 p.m., Amara Whitfield has 6 new voicemails from clients she has never worked with, 3 speaking invitations, and 1 offer to be interviewed on 60 Minutes. She returns none of the calls that night. She goes for a long walk along Lake Michigan and thinks about her grandmother. Marcus Hollings issues his public statement at 9:00 a.m. on Friday, exactly 72 hours after he asked Amara Whitfield to forgive him. He does not read it from a teleprompter. He sits in a conference room at his firm with 3 reporters and 1 camera, and he reads from a single sheet of paper that he wrote himself in longhand the night before. His general counsel asked to review it. He refused. His PR team asked to soften it. He refused. The only person he allowed to read it before he delivered it was Renee Ockhaffer on Amara's behalf, and Renee made exactly 2 edits, both of which strengthened the language. He looks tired. He has not slept much. He is 72 years old, and he has just torn down a piece of the legacy he spent 50 years building, and he reads the statement anyway. On Tuesday morning, in a conference room in our project office at the Meridian Tower site, the senior partner of this firm told the lead architect of the project, Amara Whitfield, to go fetch sandwiches. She did so because Ms. Whitfield is a black woman, and the senior partner could not imagine that a black woman could be the principal architect on a project of this size, despite Ms. Whitfield's signed contract, her credentials, and her name appearing in correspondence the senior partner herself had been receiving for 6 months. I was not in that room when it happened. I arrived 10 minutes late. I want to be honest about something. If I had been on time, this still could have happened because the culture that produced it was a culture I built. Or more accurately, a culture I did not build, because building a culture requires deliberate work, and for 30 years I told myself that not being the worst version of our industry was the same as being a good version of it. It is not. I was wrong. I have been wrong for a long time. I am not asking for credit for saying so now. Ms. Whitfield does not owe me her forgiveness, and I have not asked for it. What I owe her, and what I owe the 6 other people in our firm's history who filed complaints that were settled quietly and forgotten, is action. The actions we are taking are listed in the document being distributed to you now. They were not my ideas. They were Ms. Whitfield's conditions. I accepted all of them. When the Meridian Tower opens in 2028, my name will not be on the firm anymore. That is a decision I made on Tuesday afternoon, and I am announcing it now. The firm I founded with Harold Crane in 1976 needs a different name and different leadership and a different culture, and none of that begins until I step aside. I will see the Meridian Tower through to completion. Then I am done. Thank you. He does not take questions. The footage is on every Atlanta news station by noon. By the next morning, it is on the front page of the New York Times' business section. Architectural Record publishes a 6,200-word feature within the week titled The Sandwich Meeting, How One Conference Room Changed an Industry. The piece interviews 23 black architects, 14 of whom share their own versions of the same story. Different cities, different firms, same assumptions, same exhaustion. The American Institute of Architects opens a formal review of professional conduct standards. 3 state licensing boards announce they are re-examining their complaint processes. 2 of Hollings and Crane's competitors quietly fire senior partners with histories that look uncomfortably similar to Victoria's. A third hires an outside firm to audit itself before anyone else can. Victoria Pemberton hires an attorney. She gives one interview to a small podcast in which she says she was the victim of a setup, that the meeting was a trap, and that she has been unfairly scapegoated for the failures of male leadership. The podcast has 900 listeners. The interview generates exactly one piece of follow-up coverage, in which 6 people from her past, including one of her former mentees, go on record refuting her version of events. She does not give another interview. The 6 people in the folder are contacted one by Marcus Hollings personally. 3 of them accept his apology. 2 of them refuse to speak with him but agree to participate in the third-party audit. One of them, a Latino contractor named Hector Reyes, asks for a face-to-face meeting and shows up to it with his daughter, who is 16 and considering architecture school, and at the end of the meeting, Marcus offers her a paid internship for the following summer. She accepts. Marcus tells Amara about it later, voice rough, and Amara says, "Good, make sure she gets a real mentor, not just a desk." Amara does not give another interview after the one with Imani Brooks. She returns to work. The Meridian Tower continues. She runs the Friday coordination meetings herself in person in the same conference room where Victoria once told her to fetch sandwiches. Hannah Park is in those meetings. So is Daniel Crane. Both of them speak up now. Hannah more than Daniel. Mara notices and remembers, and one Tuesday morning 6 months in, she offers Hannah a job at Whitfield Design Studio. Hannah cries. She takes it. The 2 pens stay in Amara's breast pocket, the one her grandmother left her. The one Marcus had engraved. She uses the engraved one to sign the structural drawings. She uses her grandmother's to sign the personal letters she writes every month now to young black women in architecture programs who reach out to her after the AJC article. "Walk in like the room was built for you." She writes that sentence in every letter. September 14, 2028. 2.5 years after Victoria Pemberton told a black woman in a tailored navy blazer to fetch sandwiches. The Meridian Tower opens at 10:00 a.m. on a Thursday, 42 stories. A glass and limestone facade that catches the morning sun and throws it back into the city in panels rotating at 47 degrees, 12-degree increments, exactly as Amara designed them. The lobby ceiling is 62 feet high. The art installation that runs along the north wall is the work of 6 emerging black artists, commissioned at Amara's insistence. The building is certified LEED Platinum. The mechanical room is named after Ruth Whitfield. Amara made that one non-negotiable, and the developer, who had originally wanted to name it after his late father, agreed without argument. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is held in the plaza outside the main entrance. 300 guests, the mayor, the governor, 2 senators, a dozen reporters, the president of the AIA who flew in from Washington. Marcus Hollings is there. He is no longer with the firm. The firm is no longer called Hollings and Crane. It is now called Crane Whitfield Rowe, after Daniel Crane, who was elevated to managing partner. After Amara Whitfield, who declined the offer to be named partner but agreed to have her name on the firm in honor of the new culture she helped force into being. And after Alina Rowe, the third-party auditor Marcus hired in 2026, who is now the firm's chief diversity and ethics officer and whose findings, all of them, are public. Amara stands at the podium. She's wearing the same navy blazer she wore the day Victoria Pemberton told her to fetch sandwiches. She had it taken in slightly. Her grandmother's silver pen is in her breast pocket. So is the one Marcus had engraved. She has carried both of them every day for 2.5 years. Her son Elijah, now 9, is in the front row, holding hands with her sister. He is wearing a small suit. He has been told he can ask for ice cream at the end. He has accepted these terms. Amara begins. "My grandmother cleaned houses in Buckhead for 41 years. She used to come home from work and tell me about the kitchens she scrubbed and the floors she mopped. And at the end of every story, she would say the same thing. She would say, 'Baby, one day you are going to walk into a room like that and the room is going to be yours.' I did not know what she meant when I was 8. I think I understand it now." She looks out at the crowd. "I am not going to talk today about what happened in a conference room 2.5 years ago. That story has been told. It has been told by reporters and by lawyers and by every architect who has come up to me at a conference since and said, 'Me too.' The story is not the building. The building is the building, and the building, I hope, will outlast all of us, including the story." She pauses. "But I will say one thing. When this project began, there was a moment when I was nearly sent on an errand. The person who sent me did not know who I was. She saw what she expected to see. We all do this, all of us. I have done it. You have done it. The question is not whether we make assumptions. The question is what we do when our assumptions turn out to be wrong. Do we shrink? Do we get defensive? Do we double down? Or do we sit with the weight of being wrong and let the weight teach us something? Some of you in this audience are senior partners at firms in this city. Some of you are clients. Some of you are journalists. Some of you are 8 years old and have been promised ice cream. To all of you, including the 8-year-olds, I will say this. The word ma'am should not arrive at minute 60. It should arrive at minute 1, not as apology, as default. Build that into your buildings. Build it into your meetings. Build it into your hearing. Build it into your daily, repeated, deliberate practice. Because dignity should not need proof. Respect should not need recognition. And the people you assume cannot possibly be in charge of the room are very often the people who already are. She steps back from the podium. She takes the silver scissors from the mayor's hand. She cuts the ribbon. The crowd applauds. Elijah jumps up and down. Marcus Hollings, sitting in the third row, is crying quietly and not trying to hide it. The Meridian Tower opens its doors. Amara Whitfield walks in first. If this story moved you, if you believe respect should be default and not earned, share it. Not for views, for the next person who walks into a room and has to prove they belong before they have even spoken. Hit like if you believe ma'am should never come too late. Subscribe because these stories need telling and they need telling again. And comment, has this happened to you? Have you been the person told to fetch sandwiches? Have you been the person at the table who stayed silent? Have you been the founder who arrived 10 minutes late? Tell us. Because the only way the next conference room looks different is if we make it different, together, starting at minute 1.